And sometimes you really have to ask yourself, does that make me happy? Does that fulfill me? So if you can't be yourself, for me, like, that's the reason why I left banking. It's very simple, you know. I worked in banking, you know. At the time, I had discovered ASOS, you know, as a French person. It was so wild because you guys were all of the colors, and I was going to work, like, to bank with my, like, purple heels and my dresses and stuff. And everyone there was making me feel, you know, like I was dumb.
Insane.
You know, that I wasn't, and, you know, like, but I can't change. I'm not going to just, like, dress all black every day so you guys can accept me.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Caught Off Guard podcast. I'm your host here, Patricia Bright, and I'm very excited, as I always am, to have an amazing guest. We have the gorgeous, talented, smart, multifaceted Freddie Harrell today. Freddie, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to have you on. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. No, honestly, thank you so much. I am great. I have my cup of tea. Sorry, I had to say that because, like, you know, like, I've been watching your videos. So I have my cup of tea. I'm sitting comfortably.
I have an empty wine glass with me. I don't know why. I think I was going to, like, top it up, but you know, it's too early in the morning for wine. So it's fine, maybe later. I think this is from last night. So we've just had a moment realizing that we live basically 10 minutes away from each other. And I feel like Freddie is like a more successful personality twin of me, right? I think we're quite similar. We're quite confident. We black, you know, we're out here really trying to, like, hustle and do a lot of things. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Freddie because her bio is amazing. She's recently been able to raise $2 million in seed funding. And I think I really want to get into that. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about Freddie. Freddie is an entrepreneur, Instagrammer, former blogger at I Go by Frankie, and the founder of Radswan, a conscious beauty brand built with and for the global African diaspora in mind. Ahead of launching Radswan, which started as a hair company, big hair, no care, and what I think is amazing is we both started off with hair companies. Freddie raised $2 million in funding from an all-female investor group. Freddie is currently on the Founders Fund Accelerator program. This is major as she's one of the few black women to have ever raised over $1 million in funding. Outside of this, her achievements include speaking 4 languages, holding multiple degrees, including an MBA, being a TEDx speaker, and being named Influencer of the Year in 2018 by Cosmopolitan UK. Like me, she started her career in finance, but then pivoted into working in the creative sector, where she worked in digital strategy, sales, and marketing. Looking at Freddie's amazing bio, one thing is clear. She is multifaceted, enjoys a reinvention, and does not want to be defined by one thing. Freddie, you are an amazing success. You are doing bits. Your bio is amazing. I love it. So thank you for coming on the podcast today.
No, thank you. I just want to say I don't speak 4 languages though. Like, I see what.
Tell me, how many languages do you speak then?
So I think it's on my LinkedIn because I went to China, so I speak very basic. I can count, and I can speak Spanish and then English and French. So I would say.
Oh, so you can speak 3.5 languages?
2.5 because my Spanish is a bit, but yeah, 2.5. So yeah.
Some of us are struggling with 1, Freddie, okay? So we need to accept it. Just say 4. 4 is right. A bit of Mandarin in there. We're good. I love it. It's great. Right, so this section here is called the Ice Shaker. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions that I hope will maybe make you feel a little bit like, but nothing too harsh, nothing too intense, okay?
Hit me.
Okay. Do you think men are the root of our problems as women when it comes to confidence, or is it the other women?
I want to say people. To be honest, I think it's both. I really don't see it as more as a man or woman thing. I just think it's just people. It's like people, it's what they think, what they say, their opinions. And, you know, I think it's all of this that just make us feel insecure, just worried.
So basically,
be ourselves. People.
Other humans. Is confidence about how you feel or what you project?
I think confidence starts with probably like what you project, and then hopefully follows up with how you feel. Like for me, it's really like, I think sometimes you really have to start by faking it. You know, like you're going somewhere, like you have to really like deliver. Maybe you need to start by tricking yourself into thinking you can do it, that you're about it, and then hopefully it's gonna come.
Yeah, I can totally agree. The $2 million question. Why do you think it's so hard for women to get investment in their businesses?
So first, well, I think that, we live in a man's world. We live in a society that was built by men, so it's harder for women. But I also think that a lot of it is, like the lack of confidence, and lack of representation, not really often seeing other women or hearing about other people and their journey. I think that sometimes we also think that entrepreneurship is really reserved for the very smart, super book smart people, and it makes it look very inaccessible. And it's just, I think that women, we don't tend to really speak highly of ourselves naturally. We have to work at it. And that's for me, that's a very strong factor as to why we don't raise as much money. It's we also don't ask, we're too afraid to ask for it. And men are the contrary.
Honestly, we're going to get into this, girl. So you said before, I'm a woman before I am black. I am Freddie Harrell. I love that. Who would you say Freddie Harrell is?
That's the $2 million question.
Honestly.
Oh, wow. Yeah, who is Freddie Harrell? I think I'm still figuring out, still answering this question, and I think that's what the journey is about. But it's really having an open mind. Freddie Harrell is a lot of things. But what I've discovered, is that she's a lot more than what I thought. That's what I can.
Okay.
That's the shortest answer.
I love that. Amazing. So you've been let's start off with your educational journey, because you've got an MBA. You were born in France, or just tell me a little bit about your background and then how you've kind of developed via your education and career.
No, so I was born and raised in Paris, actually in the northern suburbs of Paris. I'm not an actual real Parisian. And I moved to London when I was 24, so almost 10 years ago. So
okay.
That's basically it. And then in terms of education, I studied in Paris. I did a business school after my bac, which is your A level. I did a scientific section, and then I went to business school, which is kind of the fast track way to try to be successful. It costs a lot of money, because in France university is free, and trying to opting to do a business school is very, very expensive, but you're more likely to have to find jobs at the end. So I did one first, and I graduated with a master in finance. I started working in La Défense, which is the French city, all of the headquarters of banks. Yeah, I worked there in in hedge funds, risk management. Sounds so weird but I think after a year and a half, I just realized that I was not going to really go further, and I was very ambitious, but because I didn't have the interest, I didn't want to read about it outside of work, I knew that I would just stall somewhere. So I went back to school, because in France, it's not like in the UK where you can just switch career. No, you have to go back to school so your diploma matches the job you want to do.
Oh really? Wow.
If I had been British, I wouldn't have gone back, but hey, everything happens for a reason. So no, I went back and I did an MBA in e-business. It was at the very beginning. This was in 2010. So we we learned digital marketing. It was even before, I think. I don't know if even Facebook was just new, and it was focused on e-commerce and online businesses, which was very. So I just loved the geek aspect to it, because it was kind of new. I did that, and then not long after I moved to England. But initially, for someone,
Hearing this, you went to university, you then studied, you went to business school, you started working a career, you're this career isn't for me, you went back to school to study again, and then was able to go into another form of career, but all before you were 24.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, you were around 24. That is insane.
Oh, yeah.
That is a lot of work done prior to even starting your real career. You almost had work experience before you had work experience. Yeah.
Oh, no, no, you're right, actually. I think the first time I graduated around 21, because I was early also at school. So I was very good growing up at school. So yeah, I just like finished school younger, and then somehow like it sounds like it was quite quick. It's true.
So you moved back to London and then you started working, because I remember meeting and catching up with you when you worked at ASOS, which was that like your first career or?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, hold on. No, like when I met you, I worked at Topshop, which was this
Topshop.
Like, which was this career. Yeah, no, actually, so when I moved to London, so to go back, like I had actually worked in London, like summer internship at Bloomberg when I was in banking, and I really loved London and I wanted to come back. So that's why I also wanted to be back here. And no, when I was here, I worked in digital marketing first. So I worked for ASOS, but then I worked at Topshop. That's when I met you, because it was at the Topshop Fashion Week show. And that's when I moved back to ASOS, but as a stylist this time. I'm just like,
damn. So you've lived 100 different careers, right? And I think that's okay. It's all right to try different things to see what you like, you know. I had the background in finance, you know, I was there for 5 years and I didn't like it. So yeah, I think it's so important to know that it's okay to have a number of different careers and test things out, try things out. I think sometimes people feel embarrassed when they're moving a lot, but you have to almost find your feet and decide what actually works for you. So when did you end up leaving and then your career job, and then you start working for yourself? That was your next move, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was the next move, because at this stage, you know, what are you going to do if you don't like it? No, you know, like when I didn't like finance, and when I moved to digital marketing, it was already like hard, you know. In my head, I wanted to be initially like a trader and, you know, do those jobs that make you look very smart. And so everyone knows, you know, like you're smart. And digital marketing was sort of like the compromise. So it wasn't really creative. I was doing the Excel spreadsheet marketing, not the fun marketing. And then that's when I was just like, I want something cooler. I'm always around clothes and, you know. So then I wanted to go, and I thought, you know, I'm still young, so I might as well do those changes now, because my thinking is always, if you're not happy, you're just going to cap somewhere. You know, like even if it's in 10 years, but if you are happy, then sky is the limit. So for me, it's like,
for sure,
it's always worth it to keep on looking for what you want. So yeah, then when I moved to, I became personal stylist for ASOS, and I wasn't sure I really liked it. It was kind of like blogging full time. And then I wanted to do something more around confidence and like working with women, because a lot of people online at this stage, you know, I had a bit of a following and people really thought different of me. They thought I was this sort of like super badass and confident, and that was something I was actively working on. So I wanted to work with them, like, you know, to do something, but also be very honest. I am not, but I have some tricks. So that was that. But then really what pushed me is that after at that job at ASOS, I was like, where am I going to have something that's going to pay me and that's going to satisfy me? But, you know, like the universe was like, don't answer this question, just because I was just sacked. So then I was just like thrown out there. So I just had to make it happen.
Do you know what's so funny, right? I've been sacked, okay? I was made redundant. And sometimes I think that we think that the world is going to end. It comes crashing around us. But you don't realize that sometimes being fired, that redundancy is actually the thing that will like switch your life and change things up in a way that you might not have expected. So it's not the worst thing.
Yeah. It's not, but at the time.
Like, why did you get fired? Let us know.
No, to be honest, hold on. Like, no, I think, what is the official? Let's say, okay, like this is off. I'm actually like now, like with Black Lives Matter, I went back to ASOS. Like we're in conversation because I'm like, let's go back to what he did to me 5 years ago. So wait, so we are still dealing with that. No, it was very unfair, but I don't know if I really can say it.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
I just keep it loose. No, like I would just say uncontainable. No, you know, I just think, you know, like sometimes you're just a bit too much yourself and people can't take it.
That's what happens sometimes when you're working a career that you almost have to kind of constrain yourself, and if you kind of step out, sometimes they don't like it, people up above don't like it, and you're like, you know, I got to be myself or I have to fit into this form, and it's hard for certain personality types, and I'm presuming you're that personality type.
I am, absolutely. No, it's very hard. Like I have to be me, and I think you're similar to me, kind of like introvert, awkward person, and it's hard to spend the whole day in big buildings with a lot of people, and and just be normal. It's, I don't know. You feel me?
I know. Okay, so actually, I want to make a reference to the fact that you're French, right? And I don't know if you've been watching Emily in Paris or if you've watched it, and whether or not you despise it or whether or not you like it. But the French are known for being quite direct, quite forward with their opinions, right? Do you find that you're that kind of person and that you brought that to the work culture in the UK, and maybe that could have been a little bit difficult for people?
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Definitely. So I think maybe more at the beginning. I think like now, like the British have really softened me. I think more like blunt, but I think that sometimes also the combination of being black, it's like just like why you're searching yourself, first of all, and then your French accent and you're like very like direct. That is not the best mix, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's being African, then being black, then being French, all mixed into one. Oh my gosh, yeah. They were not ready, but yeah, that's amazing to hear. But I think it's really important that people do feel like they can be themselves when they're in a career, and they do want to work on being confident, but you also have to know how to like balance and code switch, as they say.
Exactly.
So what advice would you give to anyone who might be working in like a career where they feel like they can't necessarily be themselves or be confident?
Honestly, I would say to this person, if like usually like there's other issues as well with this job, like if it's, it's not just feeling stifled, it's also, there's usually other things. And sometimes you really have to ask yourself, does that make me happy? Does that fulfill me? It's true that, we don't all have the privilege to switch careers, like bills have to be paid, things have to be done, but always think long term. I really think that if you're doing something that is natural to you, that makes you happy, you're only going to be more successful. So if you can't be yourself, for me, like that's the reason why I left banking. It's very simple, I worked in banking, at the time I had discovered ASOS, as a French person, it was so wild because you guys were all of the colors, and I was going to work, like to bank with my like purple heels and my dresses and stuff, and and everyone there was making me feel, like I was dumb.
Insane.
That I wasn't, and but I can't change. I'm not going to just like dress all black every day so you guys can accept me. So this, on top of not liking the, where I was going, it's just like, this is a sign. Just everything that feels like a block, look at it.
Yeah. Do you know what? This is a fashion girl's problem or creative girl's problem. I had the exact same thing. I used to say that when I worked in a city, my life felt like it was in black and white and grey. And I was the person, I came in and I'd be wearing like colourful outfits, and the looks I would get, and I would be told by people like, you're not really serious, like, or you work in HR, or like you don't really care, or they would think I'm like an assistant or something. And not that there's anything wrong with being an assistant, but I was in prime brokerage technology, and they'd be like, who the hell is she? And I always felt like I just can't live my life like this, because I didn't even want to wear the clothes that they were wearing. And that's so shallow, but it was true.
No, but like honestly, like you see the limit. I had this manager who was a woman, and I worked in middle office, and front office is where you have all of the traders, which is like a separate room, and like all you want to do is like to be into that room. And my manager, a woman, would tell me, Freddie, I was going to take you to front office today, but I'm not because of the way you're dressed, because I think you're going to distract everyone in that room.
God.
My manager, a woman.
Oh my gosh, can you see that?
It was just so like just this, and then you could see like my big boss was a woman as well, and like you could see that she had to adapt the men's codes to even make to survive. So she was not a great type of person.
Yeah, sometimes you had to become more masculine and adapt and like shrink yourself to like not shine too much. But some people are naturally shiny, so it is what it is. Okay, so you've got this interesting theory that women are made up of multiple versions of ourselves, and that explains why we are the way we are. Can you kind of talk about that theory a little bit more? Because I always say this, like, we as women, we're like multifaceted, like diamonds. Like we there's so many different sides to us. Could you share?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, the I don't know if this theory still stands like years later, but for me, I've always felt like the biggest issue I had with myself was that there was that we didn't agree inside. Like there's this one who wants to do this, the other one stopping her, this one thing I can do this, the other one no. And that also, I think at the time, that's also how I made peace with the fact that I was so many things. Like you try to fit in this box. I tried to be the smart banking girl, and then like they're just like, no, because of the way you dress, you're not. So then like you try to be the Excel spreadsheet girls in marketing, but then you're surrounded with clothes and you're just like, I want to do something with that. It's just like this, always those inner battles that we always have about, like, we don't let ourselves be, like we don't even let ourselves form full thoughts about ourselves. And like so for me, like the way out of this, and that's just when I started my blog like years ago, that was when mentally it was too much and I was very depressed at the time. It was when I wanted to make another career change, and like I went to see a therapist, and then like the first thing I said to her was that it's like, there's a lot of people in my head, a lot of Freddy, they don't get along, you need to help me. And then because we approached this like that, we were talking about these different people, and I started my blog and I was trying to bring them out. That's kind of how this theory got solid. But really, we're all, I think we look at contradictions in ourselves, and we always, the first thing we think is like, there's something wrong with me. We always look at things from a negative outlook, from a wicked outlook, as if it comes from a wicked root. Instead of really welcoming it, no, if it's a feeling that comes from me, like it is valid, it is a beautiful feeling, I just need to dig deep. And that's how you have different people, I think.
I like 1,000% agree. I had this tweet the other day. I was like, I feel like I'm the kind of person, I like everything. I think everything's great. Like I want to be involved in everything. I think about farming. I think about, I like Excel, but I also like fashion, and I also like, rock music, and I also like drill music, and I like all these things. And I think, how can someone, I don't know, be someone who has so many different aspects in them? And I have a feeling that everyone's like this, but maybe they suppress this. Like they almost say, I'm going to have to just be this kind of person and think this way because I have to, because of society.
I'm 100% with you. That's the thing. I think it's our natural state, like to be so multiple. But society is man-made. We're not. Like whatever your beliefs are, society has been invented by men, so it has very, very, very many limitations. And
a lot of limited constraints.
Yes, there's a lot of cracks in the system. So of course, like we're trying to shrink ourselves to fit. Like every time that you think, and that's a belief I had to be really strong on myself, is that, oh, it's too late. Oh, I'm not married. I don't have a child. I don't have this job. I haven't saved, because we always think it's too late. Why do we think it's too late? It's because we look at retirement as if like this is like, like when I reach retirement, that's it. It's like, you haven't done this at 30. Why is it bad? It's because you're supposed to be there at 65. But that's like...
according to who?
That's man-made, that's society. Like, life doesn't answer to that. And you could live a much shorter life and a much longer life. And it's not about that. So that's the thing I'm always trying to think, is like, time is man-made, society is man-made, productivity is man-made.
I mean, I kind of like trying to be productive. I always want to be more productive, but...
Same.
But 100%. So, you've definitely, I feel like you've worked on your confidence, and you talked about confidence with other women. Do you think now that you're officially confident? And do you think people can ever really be really confident?
No, I think confidence is a lifestyle more than like a constant state. I know how to take myself to a confident state if I need to be. If I need to be confident, I know how to sort of like work towards it. And
okay, hold on. Help us. Tell us how you get yourself to a confident state, because this would be really valuable. I journal a lot. I'm a very crazy person. If you ask my husband, I have piles of books. I'm just like, I just take everything that is in my head outside, because I just feel like
it's a lie. It's in your head. A lot of the time it's a lie.
Yeah.
I really feel like when I write, I make more sense. Like I'm much more objective. There's no time for the like self-beating. It's almost impossible. Like when I write, I feel like, you know, I have all of the Freddys on my shoulders and they're like, you know, giving their input. And that's how I find solutions. But and I'm also very organized with the way I go about it sometimes. If I feel lost, I would just be like, okay, why am I feeling blocked? Like literally write that. And then number one, I feel like this, and write single thing that I feel, and then like go for every feeling and just see it, you know, and you debunk it. Yeah, I'm just always like challenging like myself in that sense. Okay, you want to speak bad of me, and you know, you want to speak bad of yourself, I'm gonna challenge you. Why do you think this? But you can quickly not remember to do that, and that's when like I just feel completely lost, etc. So that's how I work myself to this point, is by having this sort of like board meeting, like with myself. Okay, what's up?
So basically you get it out of your head, get it onto paper, and then you can actually rationalize, and off the back of that it probably gives you a bit more confidence.
Exactly. I think as I write, this is, you know, like usually I write stuff and I don't really read them again because they've served the purpose. It's more like, honestly, it's different. And I know that you also like journal, I think, but it's different.
Yeah.
Like I cannot be, in my mind, I can't be, you're lame, you're not going to be, like, you know, like you're going to fail. I cannot possibly write it. It's just, I can't explain it. I wouldn't be able to write this. Like, you know, something would be like, would be much more objective. And that's, I don't know. Like, you know, it's the power of like you have the inner resources. But like doing that it also needs to be paired with being very hard with yourself on what makes you feel drained, what makes you feel sad, like social media, comparison, a lot of this, like you have to completely step back sometimes, cut yourself off and just be alone with yourself.
That's so powerful. No, honestly, I 100% agree. And I used to have tons of notebooks as well. So I just scribble, or I have stacks of paper and write on pieces of paper anywhere I find it. But I got an iPad. And I've got GoodNote, and in GoodNote I just write all the time, and I've got my Apple Pen. It's game changing. So
is it the same? Is it the same as like writing?
Yes, because if you get to the place where you're like, there's papers everywhere. This is what would happen to me, and then I would write things on a piece of paper, and it was really important, and then, you know, maybe my husband would throw it away, and I'm like, no, that's a thought. That's a really important thing that you've thrown away. Like, no. And so if it's all in my iPad, it doesn't go missing.
It's true. Yeah. I just take photos otherwise, because I have the same issues. But sometimes, because I tried, even like with the notebook, you know, with those like pen and whatever, like, and it's just not the same.
It's not exactly the same, but you can also get this like, you know, I'm digressing, but you can get this plastic thing that you put over the iPad, and it's got the same texture as paper. So when you're writing on it, it feels like you're writing on paper. Yeah, it's called Paper-like. Yeah, so just saying.
I'm the same. I really love gadgets and like technology, just like all of the software, all of the, you know, just.
Honestly,
I love that.
I love it. Game changing for me. Okay, so you've done a lot of exploring and pivoting in your career. So again, you had the hair extensions company, which is very similar to the concept of my hair extensions company. I think, you know, I feel like I said to the producer, I feel like we're kind of personality twins, and like the other. I don't know, in alternative universes. So like you had a hair extensions company, and what was it called? And what was the ethos around that? Big Hair, right?
It was called
and it
Big
wasn't
Hair,
even
no
made
care.
of. Yes, I remember.
It was called Big Hair, No Care. No, it was called Big Hair, No Care. But you know, like you kind of like played your part in it. I will tell you as well.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Oh my God, I love it. But what I loved is, we can talk about this, it's fine. It wasn't made of human hair.
No.
I love that. And it was all about the textures that you wanted. And I created Y hair because I hated the fact that they would tell you, you know, buy hair based on a race, like Brazilian or Peruvian or Chinese or Indian. And I was like, just buy hair based on the texture. Like, what texture do you want your hair to look like? And just enjoy it. But anyway, that's another thing. But you've also pivoted, and you've pivoted from the finance to the marketing, to the styling, to blogging, to that, and now this. How did you know that it was time for a pivot? And how did you feel confident enough to do that?
No, so I don't think that I knew, like, it's just like now looking back, it's quite a good timing, but I didn't know, like the thing that happened with the hair thing, it was kind of like an accident. So, when I, actually, like when I moved to London years ago, I had to switch to natural hair, and I just wanted bigger hair and like wearing my afro, especially being in London, because being in Paris you couldn't be this free, and in here I just could be who I wanted to be. So yeah. And I used to buy, like when lace wigs, like human hair got trendy, because I'm such a geek but I have no skills. I used to go on hair forums in the early 2000s. Yeah, like I was just like, honestly, there was those girls like who were like, like they could speak English, so they also knew, like they were tutors in the US and all of that, and I had this contact with this supplier who was importing hair, and so I had tried the lace front wigs. When I went to China, I went for a semester to study in China. I had saved $500 to buy this lace front wig. It was 2006, so there was no other tutorials and stuff. I saved. It looked so easy. I looked, and I was stuck in Shanghai, and then mind you can't buy hair there, even if it's China. I think they only import it. And I had just like this horrible glue I had to lie that it was a skin reaction. It was awful. So then I was like, I can't do this. So years later, I wanted to buy just weave and then in human hair. And I'm lazy. It's just like takes too much to maintain. It looked bad. And then I watched the documentary about good hair, and I kind of like really was put off about natural human hair. So this woman that I had known, this supplier, because I buy my human hair from her, I asked her to create synthetic options for me, and I sent her the photos and stuff. And then she would do, and I would just always just order from her. There was no minimum order, so I would have clip-ins, and I had done like a lace wig, and to make it really better than all of the other things that was so complicated. I think this industry is so complicated.
So complicated.
Everything is, and also like we find hacks, and it's always about hacks. It's always about finding methods. Like why, we don't have the upgrade. Anyway, so there was that. So actually fast forward, after when I just launched my my workshops, right after being like sacked a few months after, and I thought I was finally, this is my comeback. My husband got offered a job in Geneva out of the blue, and we were like, this is amazing for his career, let's go, da da da. So okay, I was like excited. I had never been to Geneva, and obviously I was just like, this is going to be difficult because I'm doing blog stuff. And anyway, we got in Geneva, and then I went to see him, because that's when you came into play. I went to see him for a weekend there, and then the whole time I had like panic attacks. I was just feeling so, but we hadn't even moved there yet. And at the time you had said that you were going to launch like a hair business, etc. And me coming from big corporation and having done an MBA in business, my idea of starting a business is, I look at ASOS, I look at,
it seems so impossible.
It seems crazy, but it's like, and then I remember we were at the airport flying back to London, and then that's when, and I know that you had, and then that's when like I think like your video popped or something that was like, oh, this is my company, and then you've announced it, and I saw this, and because like for me it was doable, the website, this, like that's my work, and at the time, and I was like, I said to him, I was like, I can do something like this, and he was like, let's do it. And then literally, like we flew on the plane, on the Beckenham line, the whole way I was like finding the name, big hair, okay, and this, and I could do this, and I have the supplier, and da da da, and da da da, and then like just like rolled it out straight away.
So this story, like I'm getting goosebumps because I love this, and this is my theory, right? Literally, everybody can do something, but they just need to see like one person just a little step ahead of them, like to see that they can do it. It almost gives them the confidence to like take that step. Even you raising capital, I'm like, oh, okay, that step. And how many more people will have that roll-on effect just by seeing it? And, even when I launched White Hair, I didn't know what I was doing. This is, nowadays, everyone's got hair businesses. But at the time, I was like the only person who had like a hair company. It wasn't really a thing at all. Like no one had them. And I was just like, let me just create a hair company. And it came out of need as well. And you also created what you created out of need. So
No, honestly, like, yeah, like, you know, like seeing you, like doing you, that really, like, you know, like it made it look so much more accessible. Like sometimes you make things in your head as they have to be so perfect and so big and so this, and you know, like why bother if it's not going to look like ASOS on day 2, you know, or something like that. And yeah, so no, that's why it's important to be you, do you, because it inspires people.